It's Andy, and I just want to pop out a quick video on what's going on with China and the coronavirus that's impacting that country, but it's also impacting the United States. And we have two now confirmed infections, and the CDC is monitoring 63 other infections. And sadly, this is not going to end here. This is going to continue to grow as people who've traveled to China have contracted it and spread to other parts of the world. The U.S. is just out at the forefront of letting people know where they've already found infections. Now, I wrote a whole book called World Event Trading, and in one of the chapters, I discuss infectious diseases. And I thought I'd just go really quickly at what that looks like, what happened with SARS. So SARS started slowly, but eventually spread out to other places around the world. And what's interesting is how it impacted the markets and the economy. So I'm not going to talk about the deaths that occurred or the serious nature of that. That's not my focus. My focus is going to be on the economy and the markets. So really quickly, the places that get impacted the most are the places that, of course, are having the outbreak. And again, SARS happened in China, so that's the most acute place where the economy is going to get hurt the most, and you're going to see the sharpest moves in stock prices. Now, what companies are affected? Well, the companies that are affected are clearly number one, the transportation companies, because the first thing that China tried to do, of course, was shut down all of the transportation around Wuhan, and so that means the rail companies, the buses, and of course, the planes and air transportation. So if you go back to SARS, Cathay Pacific saw its stock sink significantly because of the travel that went on between China and Singapore and Hong Kong, of course. So those stocks got hurt. And that spread to places like Air Canada as well, because Toronto had one of the first cases outside of China in Toronto. And so people are very nervous about that. So transportation companies, airline companies get negatively impacted right away. And of course, anything that's in that region gets impacted too. I'm talking about like the Singapore dollar or the Chinese yuan or anything around that area. You'll start to see countries, or you'll start to see the market sell those stocks. So keep that in mind. And of course, then just really quickly, also who benefits from this? Well, let me say one more thing too. If this spreads more, what ends up happening, and this goes all the way back to the 1917 bird flu outbreak, is that people start to stop going out. They stop going out to appear in large groups. They stop traveling. They stop taking the train. Car traffic gets a lot worse if they're traveling, but also they stop going out to bars, to restaurants, to movie theaters. Companies like Netflix will probably do very well in this environment. Companies that provide in-home entertainment. Also, companies that would perform very well would be the drug companies, especially companies that are coming up with solutions to the problem. Overall, I would say this. It's normally a very sharp reaction to the news that's coming out, and usually has an acute impact. In other words, it doesn't last that long, usually because these things play themselves out a little bit as far as the infection goes. The infection rate, the Kendrick McCormick infection rate usually has a really big peak, and then it comes off very quickly. So keep that in mind and keep your head on straight about this stuff. In other words, there's going to be opportunities if you're a stock trader or a bond trader or a currency trader or whatever you trade to take advantage of this, but it's going to occur in the next really probably week or so, where the event will trigger a reaction in the markets. The markets will go after these specific stocks, and the event will be acute. In other words, it'll accelerate whatever trends in place. And then if that trend is negative, well, of course, those stocks will get hit even more aggressively. If the trend isn't negative, it'll have an impact, and then it'll reverse relatively quickly. Again, you can get a copy of the book by going on Amazon. There's some people who really didn't like the book. I totally understand that. I would have rewrote it if I had the chance, but I'll tell you what, it's got golden stuff in there when it comes to infectious diseases, and you should check it out. I'm Andy Busch, helping my clients move from chaos to confidence, and hoping this was a little bit helpful to calm nerves a little bit about what's going on with the coronavirus.